guys, welcome back to my Nix Reads book channel, and today I want to talk about books that I don't want to read for a change instead of books that I have read or I'm planning to read. These are books that have made the round on BookTube, BookTok, Bookstagram, whatnot, and for some reason I just don't think these are for me. I want to give a big disclaimer. I will obviously work off assumptions here because I have not read these popular books, so I don't know if my reasonings for not wanting to read them are actually accurate. So if you feel like you want to change my mind because you have read them and you love them, or you want to challenge my arguments, then please feel free to do so in the comments. I'm actually very curious if any of you guys have read these books. Probably a lot because they are very popular. Starting out in the mystery/horror genre, I don't think I will ever pick up The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This was the 2019 category winner for mystery and horror, but ever since then I have seen reviews from booktubers that I actually trust, and quite a few of them that I have read this book, and they're saying that this is not really that great of a thriller. This book is about a woman named Alicia who out of nowhere shoots her husband 5 times in the face or something like that, and then just stops talking. I think it's a story about her opening up to a psychologist, or he's trying to make her open up. And honestly, even just reading the blurb, I had a feeling about one of the twists, and I did look up the summary a bit. I don't know how it ends, but it turns out that I was right. So already for that, I was kind of like, okay, this is not going to be that great of a ride if I already guessed one of the spoilers. But then there is a fair amount of very positive reviews, so this seems to be kind of a polarizing one. It seems almost to me like this is a very good beginner's thriller, so maybe if you're not very familiar with the genre, then this could be a great read. That's what it seems like, but I think I'm just going to skip on this one because I've just seen a lot of mediocre reviews for this book. And from the same author, I have no plans reading The Maidens. This book is about a Cambridge secret society of a professor, and one of the club members suddenly is found dead. The premise sounds actually quite intriguing, but again, I've seen so many mediocre reviews on this one that honestly there's just so many thrillers out there that are very interesting to me, so I think I'm just going to skip out on this one. I have yet to see a 5-star great read review from one of the booktubers that I watched at where I usually get my thriller and horror recommendations of, so I don't think I'm going to read this one. Next, I'm moving to a contemporary fiction book that has been so popular. I don't think I will read Normal People by Sally Rooney. This book is about Marianne and Connell following their relationship throughout, I think, quite a few years. So it seems like this is kind of like an angsty, on and off again, coming of age type of story. And so Marianne, I think, comes from a very wealthy family, and Connell is the son of one of their family staff, like I think cleaning lady maybe. And there seems to be some kind of romantic connection between them, and they probably start to discover, themselves, their bodies, each other, whatever, throughout the years, but it just seems so full of angst and self-discovery that it doesn't intrigue me. Again, this is quite polarizing because there is a very large amount of super positive reviews on this, but I also saw quite an amount of reviews using the word boring to describe this book. But if I ever feel like I want to see how the story unfolds, I might just watch the TV show because it's probably just a few episodes and not as big of a commitment as a book. Next on my popular books I won't read list is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This book has gotten so much praise and also so much hate simultaneously. I have to admit, I've watched those 20 to 40 minute rant reviews about this book, so even though I haven't read it, I think I have a very good idea of what happens in this book and how it ends. I haven't read any of her books, and I'm not sure if I ever will, because there seems to be a common theme in her books, which is toxic relationships. I just really dislike the trope of a toxic relationship when it's romanticized. I really don't enjoy it. It's not something that I like to read in my free time. I want to enjoy myself when I'm reading a book, and this just is kind of one of the things that just makes me angry when I read about it. I'm not saying that authors should not portray toxic relationships in books at all. Quite the contrary. I think it's a very important topic that you need to discuss and think about, but I don't like it when it's romanticized. And for some reason that has been kind of popular in contemporary movies, teenage movies, and books in the last years. Quite frankly, I'm a bit sick of it's mostly the guy, so it's mostly a male teenager or man who just really abuses and treats usually a woman or a girl so badly, but he gets away with it because, and this is a main reason, because he's good looking. Like, that's one of the reasons why in these books, for example, the girl's okay with it because she's just so attracted to him because he's so hot. And without spoiling anyone who wants to read this book, because it's your decision, you can read whatever you want, it seems like the message in this book is that fine, the girl gets emotionally abused throughout this relationship with that guy, but it's fine in the end because he's gonna change, he's gonna become a better person, so whatever happens in the middle is justified. That's how it seems like. You know what I mean? Toxic relationships portrayed as bad as they are is fine, but don't romanticize them. Like, don't use them as a vehicle to Beauty and the Beast a guy. And along with Ugly Love, I don't think I want to read November 9. Same story, so there's a lot of great reviews, but then there's a lot of very bad reviews. And if I'm not mistaken, you need to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this is the book where in one of the scenes, the author actually went back and rewrote it and the book was reprinted. I think between two people, one person did not consent to the sexual act that followed, and they still went ahead with it. But in that scene, it was just glossed over, like it wasn't made clear that this is not okay. I think even this book is about a hot guy who has a past and burdens and who is kind of broken, but he takes advantage of a cute girl. I don't even know. So yeah, Colleen Hoover, not on my TBR so far. If you really think I am wrong with what I just said, please challenge me in the comments, but this is what I heard from people who have actually read this book, so I don't know, not for me, I think. Next, I'm moving on to popular romance books that I won't read, and honestly, it is really not the book's fault. Romance is just not my preferred genre, so that's why I just have a feeling that these would probably just end up being 2 or 3 star reads for me, and so I'll just leave it to people who really like that genre to read these books. The first one is Beach Read by Emily Henry. So this book is about 2 writers. One is Augustus, who writes literary fiction, and then we have January, who writes romance. And I think they do some kind of pact where they switch genres, and it's kind of a challenge, so it's a bit like enemies to lovers type of situation. Sounds like a fine premise, but it's just not for me. It's not the type of thing that I usually enjoy. But again, this book had great reviews, so if you're into romance, maybe you should pick it up, but I'm not gonna. And the next one by Emily Henry is People We Meet on Vacation. I kept interchanging those two because for some reason also the title seemed like the theme with vacation, beach, seemed very similar. It's about Poppy and Alex who meet when they're younger, and then since then I think they go on vacation every single year. But something happens in their friendship and you're kind of discovering what that was. I'm guessing this is a friends to lovers kind of trope. So it sounds fun enough, but again, really just not for me, so I'm gonna skip Emily Henry for now. Also, a very popular romance book that I will skip is Get Alive, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Chloe Brown seems to be a geek, and she makes acquaintances with Red, who's a handyman, and I think he's gonna try to help her become more rebellious and to step out of her comfort zone. So yeah, and they're probably gonna fall in love along the way, right? Because that's how this goes. I still have one romance in my shelves. Oh, it's right here. The Friend Zone. The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez that I'm keeping for like a rainy day if I ever do want to read a romance. But Even this one, it's been, I think, a year since I've had this and I still haven't picked it up, so I don't think there's any use in me picking up more romance books. Moving on to popular horror books that I'm not really interested in. So we have The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I really want to read, what is it called? A Southern's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. That is on my TBR. But The Final Girl Support Group, I heard from multiple people now whose reviews I trust that this is kind of mediocre and kind of a letdown, especially compared to the former book that I mentioned. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to pick this up. There's so many other great horror reads out there that I want to get to this year. The premise itself sounds good though, so if I hadn't heard about the reviews, I would have probably still picked it up. So it's about a support group for final girls, so girls who have been in situation, or women who have been in situations where everybody around them was murdered and they're kind of like the last one standing, like in essentially every horror movie ever. And one of them thinks that there's some killer out to get them. It sounds good, but based on the reviews that I've seen, it's not that great, so I'm just going to read other horror books with much better reviews. And the last one is The Project by Courtney Summers. I have read Sadie by Courtney Summers just in January, and I really, really loved that one. This has kind of a similar theme to it, where one sibling tries to save her sister. So this is about Lo wanting to save Bea, her sister, from a cult, which is kind of cool because I've actually been wondering what cool book is out there about a cult to read, because not a cult, but a cult. Because I just noticed for some reason I haven't really read a book about that topic yet, and it seems kind of interesting. Again, I've just seen too many reviews that review this book at a 3-star rating, and that's just, I don't know, that's not convincing enough for me to pick up. This was my short list of very popular books that I won't read for just one reason or the other. If you have read any of these books and you absolutely love them and you want to change my mind, then please feel free to leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. There's really no hard feelings on this except maybe Colleen Hoover. I guess I'm quite biased when it comes to her work, but again, I might be wrong. I'm just trying to give authors the benefit of the doubt, especially if I haven't even read any of their work. Or let me know if you agree with any of these books and you also don't want to read them. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. Bye!